Good morning, sir. So we are going ahead with the live stream session from BITS, Mumbai. So we are here. So more than 100 people are sitting here live in 6 halls. They are watching you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Manoj, first of all, I would like to congratulate you and Avinash for getting across and doing this fantastic conference. Really, I'll tell you that this has been a tremendous hit and a great success. And heartiest congratulations to the entire organizing team. You all have done a real wonderful job. And of course, my situation is a little difficult after the super breakfast session we had just now with Nagi. You know, because Nagi and me also have been together for last 30 years now. And we have been in this entire progress of endoscopy in the country. I have seen how he has grown, the direction which he has taken. What is the sound? Someone is talking. So I'm going to now demonstrate to you. Actually, it was written in the program that I'm going to show you a poem procedure. But instead of just a poem procedure, I've also added one ERCP, chronic pancreatitis, because all of us know that chronic pancreatitis is extremely common in our country. And so I'm going to show you a classic case of chronic pancreatitis with radio-opaque pancreatic stones. So I'm going to ask Dr. Ankit Dalal to present the history of this patient.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So can we have the slides, please? Yeah, so this is the live session on the last day of Endocon 2021. So the first case is a 17-year-old male. He has been diagnosed with chronic calcific pancreatitis since 2017, and he is having recurrent episodes of abdominal pain. No exocrine or endocrine deficiencies yet. And on evaluation on an MRCP, he was found to have a dilated MPD with a feature of pancreatic divisum and multiple intraductal stones. And he underwent 3 sessions of ESWL. So now the plan is to do an ERCP with papilla sphincterotomy and fraction of stones. Over to you, Dr. Amit.
Yeah, so I'll begin the procedure now. Now, as Dr. Ankit has told you, this is a patient of chronic pancreatitis. Now, all of us know, and all of you also must be aware that whenever you have a patient of chronic pancreatitis with radio-opaque pancreatic stones, and before you plan the therapy, it is mandatory that we do a few investigations like plain X-ray to see where the stones are located, how much is the density of the stones, so that you get an idea as to how much amount of ESWL is required, what is their hardness. And very important investigation is an MRCP, which tells you the ductal morphology. So here you can see now that these were radio-opaque stones, and it becomes mandatory that before we perform the ERCP, we have to do a shockwave lithotripsy, because otherwise the ERCP is likely to fail. So now in this patient, we have done ESWL. The stones are reasonably well pulverized to less than 3 millimeter fragments. Now I've passed the scope inside. The MRCP is also suggestive of a pancreas divisum. So I'm going along the greater curvature of the stomach. You see here, the pylorus is below there. So along the greater curvature, then I go push my scope in the duodenal bulb, push the scope a little bit more inside. Then I turn my body to the right. You start seeing the junction of the first and second part. Then I push the scope a little bit more inside and turn the body to the right. I suck a little bit of fluid which is there, and I slowly start turning the big wheel to the small wheel to the right. You see here, there's a bulge which you can see here on the right side. Well, that first thing what you're seeing there is the minor papilla. This is not always visible. Here it is visible because this patient has a divisum. The minor papilla is a little bit bigger than normal size. So first, let me turn the small wheel to the right, make the big wheel little up, and start straightening the scope so that I start going towards the major papilla. This is the major papilla. Now the scope is straight. I'm turning the small wheel again on the left side, pulling the scope back so as to bring the major papilla into view. Now, first I'm going to cannulate the major papilla and show you as to what type of anatomy we are seeing of the pancreatic duct. So for this, I'm using a sphincterotome. I'm going to go through the major papilla, and the cannulation direction is towards the pancreatic duct, from left to the right, from above downwards, as against the bile duct, which is from below upwards, from right to the left. So this is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to take the sphincterotome out, and I'm only going to inject a little bit of contrast. So I'm going to hold the scope in such a way, hold it like this, please. Okay, now see here, from left to the right, from below upwards. Okay, very gentle, trying to cannulate the major papilla. You have to turn the scope a little bit. Can Shobha come here? Okay, little injection, fluoro on. No, nothing entering. So now we will again try. Yes, one small drop. If you don't get anything, yes, you can see here now. Can you see the duct there on the fluoroscopy? This is actually a divisum, and you're seeing that the major papilla is leading to a small duct, which is going down. Now I will try to put a wire and see whether the wire goes from here into the main pancreatic duct or it is entering into that accessory duct. So either this will be a complete divisum or it could be a persistent duct of Santorini, what is also sometimes called as incomplete pancreas divisum. So I'm going to now rotate and pass inside a flexible hydrophilic wire, which is a Terumo wire. And let me see whether it can enter inside through the major papilla. You see here that from the major papilla, it doesn't seem to enter the main duct. I'm going to pull a little bit back, try to give a direction towards the duct by pulling the scope backward. No. Yeah, see where it has gone? Now it has gone in the duct below. It is not going in the main duct, the duct of Wirsung. So obviously, that main duct of Wirsung is opening on the minor papilla. So what I'm going to do now is, first let me do a small major papilla sphincterotomy. Wait, the wire is coming out here. Yes, I'll do a small major papilla sphincterotomy because there are stones which are there in the duct which is leading to the major papilla. You can see the pulverized fragments coming out of the endo picture. See those fragments there, Manoj?
Yes, we can see the fragments. Dr.
First.
Amit, how do you decide the end point of papillotomy when your intention is not to bring out the stone?
When what is there?
When your intention is not to bring out the stone, how do you decide the end point of papillotomy?
Yeah, ultimately the end point of sphincterotomy depends upon the indication. So what you rightly said, if your aim is only to put a stent, you don't have to do a big sphincterotomy. But if you have to bring out the stones, you have to cut at least the entire bulging portion of the papilla. And if required, you may even have to do a small balloon sphincteroplasty. So now this much is enough for now. But fortunately, you see here that the wire has also entered the duct.
Into the upstream duct, it has entered.
Yeah, so wire has entered. So let me
so there is no divisum, I think.
Yeah. So now what I'm
going fully, yes.
Go deep inside and opacify it properly.
Dr. Amit, has ESWL already been done or yet to be done?
Yes, Sunil, we have done ESWL because that is mandatory when you are treating patients who have radio-opaque pancreatic stones. Yes. Otherwise, we'll not be able to take out any stones because most of the times, radio-opaque pancreatic stones are impacted, they are hard. Even here you see that my sphincterotomy is not going in very easily because the stones are quite firmly impacted.
I think the wire has entered into a side duct, side branch.
Wire inside. Now in this particular patient, I'm going to do both a major as well as minor papilla sphincterotomy so that the duct starts draining from both the sides. Then we will try to flush the duct also. You can see already some fragments which are coming out after the ESWL. It may be possible that in one sitting of ERCP after ESWL, you may not be able to clear all the pulverized stones. In that case, you should do as much stone removal as possible and then leave a temporary stent inside. Leave a temporary stent inside. Otherwise it will not come out. So what
size of balloon will you use, sir? 8 mm or 10?
I'm going to use the Hurricane balloon from Boston Scientific. You know why? Because any other balloon, you can't use directly a balloon for stone extraction here. Because these stones are so hard and spiculed that if you use a balloon for stone extraction, the balloon will burst. And you will use multiple balloons in one sitting of ERCP. So it's always better to pulverize them with ESWL dilate if there is any stricture or conglomerate of stones, and then take out the stones by using a wire-guided Dormia basket. Don't open the basket too much so that you don't catch too many stones at one time. So small fragments of stones you catch and just start pulling it out. Now, to make sure that my basket does not get impacted, I'm going to do a little bit of dilatation now with a hurricane balloon first.
Dr. Amit, Dr. Vikas here.
Yes, Vikas, hi.
Yeah, Dr. Amit, good morning. Do you think this patient has pancreas divisum?
Not a complete divisum, not a complete divisum. This is a persistent duct of Santorini. If you see the pancreatic ductal anatomy.
Yeah.
If it is complete divisum, I would not have been able to enter the main duct through the major papilla.
Yes. And do this patient require the minor papilla sphincterotomy? We are able to drain the majority of the Pardo duct through the major papilla only. Does he require?
Strictly not required, but I usually perform so that we achieve a complete drainage. Okay. So that both sides are open for the drainage for the pancreatic duct. Okay, now I'm past the hurricane balloon inside. There were a few impacted stones in the head, very gentle. How big is this balloon? 8? 8 is too big. You need only a 4 mm balloon. 8. Okay. Okay, deflate kar. Deflated.
What size of balloon are you using?
Huh? Pardon?
What size of balloon? Is it 4 mm or 6 mm?
This is 4 mm. See, you don't need a very big size balloon, because if you use a big size balloon, you will create trauma in the pancreatic duct. This is not a very dilated pancreatic duct. And there can be some bleeding. Okay, now let's dilate it a little bit more. Keep the pressure so that the balloon does not slip out. Okay, see that there's the stricture there. You can see the balloon now on fluoro. Are you getting the fluoro picture big?
Yes, we can see. Yeah.
Yeah, the balloon is coming out. Okay, deflate it again. That should be good enough. Now, first thing we will do is to go inside and flush the duct. Okay, so let's take it out. You see already the stones are flowing out when I'm pulling the balloon out?
Yes, we can see. Dr. Amit, how do you choose between the ESWL and the pancreatoscopy and lithotripsy out of the two?
See, no question that for pancreas, ESWL is far superior to pancreaticoscopy. See, you know why? Because pancreaticoscopy is not always possible in chronic pancreatitis, because there may be an associated stricture. The stones may be beyond the genu, where your scope doesn't go across properly, and even if it goes, you don't get an end-on view for laser. Huh? Okay. Because pancreatic endotherapy, the gastroenterologists in our country, there will be so many patients who will come to you with chronic pancreatitis, because in our country, the chronic pancreatitis and Crohn's disease is very common. So you have to understand the principles very well. You cannot just do arbitrary pancreatic endotherapy. That's very important. May not catch it. Huh? Yeah, so forget about it, yeah, because this is not a straight pathway. So we should not, don't try to go inside with the basket. Take it out. Huh? This is not a straight pathway. The straighter pathway is through the minor. Huh? There is a little loop of the duct. So best thing to do here is to place a stent. Before that, you give a cannula. Let's go in and flush the duct first. And the ductal anatomy, you have to study and know beforehand, before you start your ERCP, so that you can plan exactly from which ampulla to go, minor or the major, whether there is a loop of the duct inside, whether you will be able to complete the therapy or no. There are a lot of factors to it. It is not as straightforward as biliary endotherapy.
Amit, do you prefer to use trapezoid basket over the routine pancreatic basket? No.
No, Sunil. Actually, trapezoid basket is a very big basket. It can be little traumatic for the pancreatic duct.
Semi-traumatic, yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes it may not be able to crush the stone. See, and now here I can actually feel that there is a stone conglomerate which is sitting at the neck. Even my cannula found it difficult to enter inside. So therefore, now the best thing for me to do now is to just go inside, flush the duct a little bit, And for the time being, just place a stent and come out. And then after some time, after 3 months, we will call this patient back. We will see if there are any more radiopaque stones. We will perform further ESWL, further dilate the duct, and then complete the therapy.
Dr.
Do you
Amit,
prefer 7 French or a 10 French stent, sir?
Ideally, a 7 French stent. 10 French will not go here. And even if it goes, the patient may have a little pain. Can you see the stones which are flowing out after we are flushing the duct?
yes,
So this is the type of pulverization which we have to achieve.
Dr. Amit, do you always perform ERCP after ESWL or it's in the selected cases?
Pardon?
Do you always perform ERCP after ESWL?
Yes, always ERCP after ESWL. We don't perform ESWL as a monotherapy. Very, very rarely, if there is a single stone sitting in the head, then you can even do a monotherapy of ESWL. You pulverize the stones completely. The stones are not seen any longer. And then you can just leave the patient alone. The stones will flow out.
So if there is no stricture and you have completely broken the stones, then ESWL alone can be done.
Yes, it can be done. But in some patients, you may have to do a small pancreatic sphincterotomy. Can you put some contrast? It's new wire, no? Huh? Put some contrast. Yeah, there must be possibly some stones in the tail. Huh? Huh? Stone in the tail? Another issue is if you find that there are stones in the tail of the pancreas,
It's going where? It's going where?
Go after them.
It's only zigzag course of duct.
Yeah, it is a little beaded. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to go inside now. Let's see if it is possible. Yeah, see that?
Yes.
Yes, it has gone very well.
Okay, now we'll try to exchange this wire. Yes, take it out. There are stones which are impacted in the head. Somebody has to hold the scope properly.
So you start with Teramo and then exchange it with the bigger wire.
Yes. See, there are stones even in the channel of the scope.
Yes.
That prevents the movement of the accessory very easily. Pancreatic stones are very notorious. They're very hard and spiculated. They have so much calcium. Okay. Fine.
Dr. Amit, for removal of pancreatic ductal stone, what's your preference, balloon or the basket?
Well, balloon will burst. You will require multiple balloons. So ideal is a wire-guided basket, but don't open the basket too much.
Okay.
If you open the basket too much, catch too many stones at one time, your basket will get impacted. Then you are in trouble. Because it's not easy to do a Schoenra mechanical lithotripsy in the pancreas.
Yeah.
If the basket gets impacted in the pancreatic duct, you have to leave the basket and the scope inside, take the patient like that itself to the ESWL room and shoot on the basket. So the stone will be pulverized, only then the basket will get released. Otherwise, leave the basket inside, pass another duodenoscope, pass a spyglass, go in the pancreas and do laser.
Yep.
Pardon? This patient is in supine position. We do all our ERCPs in supine position.
So, Dr. Amit, what's the benefit of doing ERCP in the supine position?
Well, because especially for pancreatic endotherapy, for hilar blocks, in general for anatomy, it is much better because in the supine position, the radiological anatomy is perfect. It's as if you are seeing from above.
Okay.
So I'm going to do
Anesthetists are comfortable in supine.
place a simple 5 French single pigtail pancreatic stent for now and give this patient some rest. Okay, so see what I've done is I've reached this marker of the pigtail stent. And now I gently pull the scope back, and as I'm pulling, I'm releasing the stent. So see how the stent is forming a nice loop.
Yes.
Okay, now let's see an X-ray picture here. You can see those stones impacted in the head. We have achieved a pulverization. The first session of ERCP is now complete. Now we'll call this patient back after 3 months. We will reassess. We will again do a shock wave lithotripsy and then go in, dilate that area in the head or in the genu, and we will complete the endotherapy. And next time we will also perform a minor papilla sphincterotomy so that we flush the duct from both the sides, major as well as minor. So I'm now going to immediately rush to the other room and I'll start showing you the POEM procedure.
Yeah, Dr. Amit, that's a wonderful demonstration. Excellent.
So we move on to the next room. So we have the second case. This is a 40-year-old female who's presented with a 3-month history of dysphagia to both solids and liquids, along with nasal regurgitation. We underwent an endoscopy last year, December, which showed a dilated esophagus with a mild resistance at the LES for scope passage. A manometry showed a type 2 achalasia. So the patient is now planned for a POEM procedure with a detailed description of the technical aspects of it. Over to Dr. Maidev.
Here I'm back. Can you see me?
Yeah, we can see you.
Yes, sir. You can see.
TV पूरे करा please. So can you see the dilated? Fortunately, there is no fluid inside because we have just cleaned this esophagus. If we have to admit the patient 1 day before, I'm just going to show you a normal procedure of POEM. Not going to demonstrate the POEM with fundoplication because I personally don't think that that procedure is going to be the procedure of the future. And we usually perform a posterior tunneling approach. So here you see here now that the OG junction is somewhere at 38, so around 12 to 15 centimeters above. We are going to make a mucosal entry with the submucosal space, the third space. I hope flush kara. Now, how do we know that we are posterior? We are going to instill some fluid and see where the fluid is collecting. The patient is supine. So wherever the fluid is collecting is the posterior. And it's very important that in case we are seeing the spine, we should not go on the spine. We should go somewhere at 5 o'clock direction. Go to correct.
Dr. Amit, how do you choose initial site of injection? By mucosal appearance, or how do you choose the initial site?
Well, mucosal appearance is very important. I mean, as far as possible, you should not choose the mucosa where there is likely to be submucosal fibrosis. Now
Okay.
here, so try to choose an area where you can see the good vasculature, which indicates that there is not much of submucosal fibrosis.
Okay. So you want to see the shiny mucosa with the submucosal vessels.
Yes.
And Dr. Amit, what's the trick to get a good bleb? Sometime after injection, we don't get a good bleb. So any trick for the good elevation, mucosal elevation?
Now one, let me check this out. It appears to be some submucosal fibrosis. Okay, inject. So you push the needle inside and gently start pulling the needle back.
Okay.
So that is the way you can get a good bleb. But here I have a feeling that this mucosa is quite thick.
Yes.
There is likelihood that we are going to face some fibrosis inside.
Yes.
Inject.
Is the distance from D junction you're injecting now?
Pardon?
Distance from D junction. Your injection site
I can't
is
hear
how many centimeters?
I can't hear you.
So the injection site is how many centimeters from the D junction?
This is the inflamed mucosa. You have seen this, no, before? Here the mucosa seems to be quite inflamed.
It appears with thickened mucosa.
Pardon?
Appear to be thickened mucosa.
Oh yes, definitely thickened.
Which knife you are using?
I'm using the Herbe hybrid knife.
Hybrid knife. So with the same knife you can inject also, but in this case you chose the needle.
Yeah, because the mucosa is little thick.
Okay.
So let me see now whether we can open the lamina propria in the first cut itself. But you know what I did? My entry point also I started coagulating.
Yes.
Because initially, even at the site of injection, there was a little bit of bleeding. So now look inside over here, the place where I've cut. Little bit more extension. So how much extension do we need? How much should be the length of the cut? The length of the cut has to be just more than the size of your cap. After the first cut, you have to make this ledge. See what I'm doing? There's a ledge. Now the ledge is made not only at the apex. See, I'm moving the knife at the apex, left and right, and also along the edge. The mistake which a beginner does is after making the mucosal cut, they directly try to enter the submucosal space.
Yes.
If you don't make this ledge, then you will not be able to enter the submucosal space. Patient is buckling a bit. So now that I've made the ledge, now I start making the tunneling.
Yeah.
The tunneling has to be along the muscle fibers. See how close I am to the muscle fibers?
Yes, we can see.
So you have to bear the muscle fibers. See this?
Yeah. Dr. Amit, can you make a comment regarding the depth of initial incision? Sometimes the depth is not adequate up to the submucosa. So
Yeah.
how to get the adequate depth of the incision?
Very good question. Depth has to be on the lamina propria. Because what happens is many times we don't cut the lamina propria. We are cutting too superficially. If
Okay.
that is the case, you will never be able to enter inside.
So you must see the bluish submucosal fibers after the initial incision.
Spotlight for this. Is it calling a spotlight for this? Not for this. Gallery for this.
We are not getting the endoscopic image.
Oh, is it?
We are, yeah. Right now, I think we are in Bhubaneswar.
Oh, you're not getting endoscopy?
Yeah, now we are getting. Yeah, now we are getting it. Yeah.
वो तो फार कमी ठेवला आहे.
Dr. Amit, which solution you are using for the injection?
Oh, injection solution is just normal saline with little indigo carmine.
Indigo carmine, okay. Dr. Amit, sometime in the tunnel there is a lot of submucosal fibrosis and very difficult to perform the tunneling. So any trick for that?
Oh, then you have to just be very, very slow and be as close to the muscle as possible.
Okay.
That's the only trick. And this is what we are going to see in the submucosal space. We are going to see these vessels which are going to come out from the mediastinum and go across the submucosal space and supply blood to the mucosa.
Yes.
But see this vessel here now? This vessel, preferably, I will try to catch with a coag grasper.
So how do you choose between the coag grasper or the coagulation with the knife only? How do you select between the two?
If we become too bold, we'll try to cut this even with a normal knife. But
Yeah.
as a general rule for the beginner, if you see the vessel which is bigger than the size of the tip of your instrument, then you should use a coag grasper. Or if you see a bifid vessel like this, where a vessel stump is there and then there are two branches, it's better to catch it with a coag grasper.
Okay.
But for a beginner, I'll tell you, it's safer. All the vessels which you see, start catching with coag grasper.
Yeah.
Don't be too bold in the beginning. Catch.
Okay.
Now see where I've caught it. I've caught it on the muscle.
Yeah, that's very important. Yeah.
And I'm pulling the coag grasper a little bit back, and I can see the vessel becoming white. See that?
Yes, yes.
Okay, now after this,
थोड़ा नेवल ना कोने जो एसडीएमआई कनेक्ट होगा वो अच्छी क्वालिटी डायरेक्ट थी वो ठीक एसडीएमआई
And
now catch the vessel over here. Catch.
ସେଇଟା ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ସହିତ ନେଇଗଣି ବୋଧେ ଲାଷ୍ଟ ଯୋଉ ଭ୍ୟାଲିଡିଟି ସେସନ
Now I'm going to cut it.
yeah, we can't see endoscopic image.
Oh, you're not seeing endo picture?
Yeah, now we can see. Yeah.
Okay.
eso
But see, what is the secret? The secret is to bear the muscle. Very, very important.
Yeah.
अनि
And sometimes there can be ooze from the cut end also. You have to take care of that also.
tool that it is never
You have my better is to know about.
Dr. Amit, we are not seeing the endoscopy room.
Is there any problem? Can you just ask somebody to check?
Yeah. We are seeing the hole in the Bhubaneswar actually right now.
Why are they doing like that?
I think you have to keep on speaking. You have to keep on speaking. Yeah.
Not seeing?
Intermittently, sir. Not continuously.
Are you seeing or not seeing?
No, right now, no.
Can you call Dr. Avinash? Or rather than leave the scope and I'll go.
Dr. Vikas, can you please click the gallery view?
No, I have.
It is visible, Dr. Vikas.
But right now we are seeing the hole in the Bhubaneswar.
Could you click the gallery view of your computer?
Yeah, gallery view, yeah.
I think they're doing it intentionally.
Dr. Sunil, are you seeing the endoscopic image or the hole? Dr. Sunil?
No, I am seeing the your face on the front screen
Right now?
because you are speaking, and the endoscopic image is smaller one.
I think Dr. Amit has to keep on speaking. Only then we can see the endoscopic
Yeah,
image.
probably.
Dr. Amit, I think you have to keep on explaining.
Someone from their side, I think
Yes,
they
yes.
should keep on speaking something.
What? I have to keep on speaking, is it?
Yes, only then we can
Yes,
see
yes.
the endoscopic image.
When you are speaking, then we are seeing you, sir.
Yeah, otherwise goes to the Bhubaneswar.
So
Yes.
ask them, please ask them to put us on speaker view only.
Yes.
What I'm going to do now is again catch this vessel.
Yes.
So even if it is not relevant, I will keep on talking. Okay, open.
So you catch the vessel close to the muscle layer.
Yeah, one is close to the muscle and then a little bit away from the muscle. Open. And then again over here. And with the same coag rasper, you cut it.
Okay.
Okay, now go in again. See whether there is any other vessel here. Open. No, nothing.
And you are using the soft coagulation for the hemostasis.
Yes, post coagulation. We should not use soft coagulation because soft coagulation causes deeper injury. Remember, it is called soft, but the injury is deeper.
For the hemostasis. For the hemostasis,
Hemostasis also forced coagulation.
forced coagulation. Okay. We tend to use the soft coagulation for the hemostasis.
last
Meaning,
100% not here.
now
I
see
think
what I'm doing
someone at Bhubaneswar has to keep the mic off.
Yes.
Pardon?
Someone at Bhubaneswar has to keep their mic off because they keep on coming again and again. Someone is speaking in between. So.
Can somebody call up Dr. Avinash or Dr. Manoj and tell them?
Yeah. Yeah, Dr. Sahu, we are getting a lot of disturbance from the hall. Yeah, I think you can switch off the audio there. So, Dr. Amit, how do you maintain the adequate width of the tunnel?
Yeah, you should maintain, you should make as wide as possible the tunnel.
Yeah.
Very important.
So, what's the trick for that?
Don't make a narrow tunnel. See how wide it is? You
Okay.
can move your scope from left to the right quite easily.
Okay. So, you keep on dissecting on the sides also.
Sides also very important. I'll show you now. First,
Yeah.
first let me dissect on the muscle here. Then I'll show you how I'm going to dissect on the side.
Yes.
See this?
Yes. That's a very important, I think, dissecting on the sides also, so that we can maintain a
How wide
adequate.
the tunnel is now? Yeah, can you see?
Yeah, it's very roomy.
Very important to keep the tunnel wide.
Yeah.
Now again, let me inject a little bit of fluid. And be very superficial. You should be able to see through.
Yes.
See now here there is a vessel here. See this?
Yes.
So now here I can coagulate this vessel with a knife itself. So I'm going to inject some fluid, make a cushion, and now just keep the knife by the side and apply forced coag. See what is happening now.
Yeah.
See
So
how
you
that
coagulate-
vessel has become white.
Yeah.
Don't cut through it immediately.
Yeah.
Now after it has become white, now cut
And you're coagulating with the tip or the shaft?
with a shaft.
Okay.
Now there's a little bigger vessel over here. See this? This I'm not going to use the knife.
Yes.
For this, again, I'm going to apply a little, put a little bit of a cushion. Wait.
So if the diameter of vessel is more than the shaft of the knife, then you
Yes.
use the coag rasper.
You should get that idea. Now this vessel, you know, also I may be able to coagulate with the knife, but
Okay.
I want to just show for the beginner what they should do. That's why I'm going to tell you that they should coagulate with the coag grasper.
And this seems to be artery or the vein, this small vessel.
Oh, I can't say. If you go near, we'll come to know whether it is pulsating.
Okay. Seems to be vein actually. It seems to be collapsing.
Open, rotate. Okay. Now see where I'm catching it. Huh? See over here, turning the scope here, and now catch. So even if you coagulate a little bit of the muscle, doesn't matter because anyway you're going to cut it. Open, catch. Keep it closed, keep it closed. There's one vessel, can you see inside? Open,
Yes.
catch it. I'm intentionally showing you even the tiny vessels, how you have to coagulate. Because the beginner has to learn. See, once you become an expert, it doesn't matter. Keep it closed, keep it closed. On an average, in your POEM procedure, the maximum blood loss should not be more than 5 cc.
Amit, are we approaching the G junction?
Not yet, not yet. We are almost now.
Okay.
4-5 centimeters away. काय करते तू सगळं मलाच करायला लागतंय.
Dr. Amit, we have two knives for the poem, most commonly used, hybrid and the TT knife. So how to choose between the two knives?
Oh, it doesn't matter. You can use any one.
Okay.
You can do poem with any knife.
Any
But
knife.
I usually like the hybrid knife
Okay.
because it makes my life easy, especially in a difficult case.
Okay.
But you can very well do the poem, even a difficult case, with the TT knife.
Okay.
It's a matter of just learning the technique properly.
Okay.
Here, there's a vessel there.
You're using the force coagulation here. Or
Yeah.
Dr. Amit, do you ever use a cutting current for the tunneling?
No, see what the current I'm using here is the precise sect mode.
Okay.
There's something called as precise sect.
Okay.
Very, very useful technique. Very useful current.
It's there in the 300 bio or it's there in the
Bio 300, yeah.
Bio 300.
Now see, I'm going to release it from the edges, huh?
Yes.
See how
You
I'm
can-
moving the knife?
I think it's a very crucial to dissect on the sides.
See that?
Yes, we can see. It's very clean dissection.
That's what every endoscopist should try to aim for.
Yes.
Should not become a bloody field.
I think G junction is the most difficult area for a beginner.
Yeah.
Dr. Amit, can you mention the special tricks at the G junction? How to cross the G junction?
I will mention. First, let us reach there. They're almost reaching.
Yeah.
Sometimes even if you have to cut a little bit superficial muscle, it does not matter.
Yeah.
That opens it up better. They're almost coming to the G junction now. You see the muscle fibers have become a little bit different character.
Yeah. Dr. Amit, sometime during the endoscopy, there is a lot of mucosal thickening and the ulceration. Will you do POEM in such cases? Patient has candidiasis, deep Yeah, mucosal ulceration and the candidiasis.
Oh, then you should not do the POEM procedure. Take the knife.
Okay.
Because you should wait.
Okay.
Very likely, if there is ulceration of the mucosa, there can be a submucosal fibrosis. You
Okay.
should keep these patients NBM with a nasojejunal feed for a few weeks
Okay.
and give them also antifungal treatment. Let the candidiasis heal, let the mucosal ulceration heal, then again reassess and then go in. एक मिनट पानी येता है का? Sometimes it comes, sometimes it doesn't come.
Dr. Amit, when you are cutting on the side, what is the limit? Like how far you go, and how do you decide where to stop going further
Then you
on
see
the sides?
you have to cut until you start seeing the muscle. See, here is the mucosa. Here, where
Yes,
my
yes.
knife is touching. So don't cut
Yes, yes.
on the mucosa, otherwise you will create a hole. So carefully see. Water sometimes doesn't come.
I think you have to identify the junction of mucosa and the muscle layer.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, at the 1 o'clock, we can see there is junction of mucosa and the muscle at 1 o'clock.
Sometimes that junction is sometimes hazy. You may not be able to identify.
Yes. And right now it's at 1 o'clock. We can see there. This 1 o'clock is the junction.
And usually when I come to this level, no, I start my dissection directly with the forced coag only. When these small vessels start appearing.
Dr. Amit, what is the two vessel sign and the penetrating vessel sign? Two vessel
At the
penetrating.
OG junction, we are seeing those two target vessels. So far, at least I have not seen them here in this case,
Yes.
because that vessel sign is important for you to decide where to go.
Yes.
Because to prevent the sling fibers and to prevent reflux after POEM, you have to go on the right side of the target vessel. So even if you don't see those vessels, a good thing to do is to anyway at the lower end when you do the myotomy, start cutting to the right.
Right, sir.
Don't
I think
cut
that's a very,
at 6 o'clock.
yeah. I think that's a very important point. We have to dissect and do the myotomy more on the right side when we are doing the posterior
Now what
myotomy.
I'm going to do is clean the knife. See the tunnel?
Yes.
Yes. Very clean tunnel. No blood.
But now we are at the OG junction, I think. You start seeing this palisade vessel. See these vessels, the structure of vessels is changing. These are palisade vessels, which are there on the muscle. This is classical. See that vessel above? That is also a palisade vessel. This is typical you see when you start nearing the OG junction.
Yes. I think on the gastric side, we will have more spindle shaped vessels. And on the towards
Palisade means spindle shape. That's what I'm trying to say. Yes, out. So in between, you have to keep on coming out and cleaning your knife. Those big vessels, target vessels, we are not yet seen. See what I've done? Because you realize?
So once you are at the G junction, I think the vascularity also increases and the risk of bleeding also increases.
Yeah, that's why my dissection I'm doing with a post coag.
Yes.
It looks like we are already in the stomach.
It seems we are in the stomach only.
Yeah, we are in the stomach. And we didn't see those target vessels at all.
Yes.
What I'm going to do now is going to take the scope out, take a U-turn and see. Let us just go in and see, then we will come back if required, okay? It's quite a long tunnel.
Yeah.
See that? That's
Yes.
the OG junction.
Yes, yes.
Oh, yeah. That.
Yes, we can see.
Yeah, this much inside the OG, beyond the stomach, beyond the OG.
I think that's a fluid inside towards a greater curvature. Tunnel is on the lesser curve side.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, this is the tunnel direction.
That's there it is. There
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Little bit we can.
Yeah.
Little more. So we'll clean the scope a little bit. Quick. Little bit more is required. Any further questions which are very basic for the beginner? Because I think this poem procedure, see, poem is very common now. Everybody is doing it. But if a person wants to learn, want to start doing poem procedure, you have to understand some basic steps.
Yep.
Basic principles, if you follow, this is one of the easiest third space procedures to learn and to begin.
Yep. Dr. Amit, what's the best way to get trained in the poem? Now, many endoscopists, they want to start the poem procedure. How do they start?
Patient is not. पाणी मारायला लागेल कोणीतरी. Actually, I can see this is the resistance here.
Yes,
This is the
yes.
OG junction area.
Yeah. This is likely to be LES, this area.
Beyond that, a little bit more we have to go. So this is the front stomach. Okay.
Yeah.
A little bit more, and then we can start the myotomy.
I think we can see the oblique fibers also towards the gastric side. Dr. Amit, are we seeing the spindle vessels there towards the upper part?
Yeah.
These are classical, I think, gastric vessels.
Hardly any water coming from this knife. Yes, forceps.
Dr. Amit, there is a question from the audience.
Yeah.
The diameter of choegrasper is almost the same as that of accessory channel. So if there is a massive bleed, and then it's difficult to clean the field with the choegrasper inside the scope.
I know.
So any trick? Do you change the scope? Maybe using the.
No. The most important trick is same what you do in variceal bleeding. When you have a variceal bleeding patient, how do you locate the source? Catch. You should not suck the blood.
Yeah.
If you suck the blood, your field is gone. So you keep on inflating CO2 and keep on washing, and one small moment you'll get where you'll be able to see it. That's the time you have to catch it.
Oh, yeah. And any use of cap? Can we use the cap to localize the bleed?
Yeah, of course. One thing is you go in, push the cap, and with that you do compression and gently start pulling back. At one spot you will be able to see it. But again, when you pass the choegrasper, again your field will go. See, there is a vessel there. I'm going to inject a little cushion.
Dr. Amit, sometimes there is a massive bleed, and in the posterior poem, the blood will accumulate towards the vessel side only. So, any point in changing the position if there is a massive bleed?
But we have never found that required.
Okay.
Invariably, you can search, you can find it.
Okay.
See this vessel here?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Dr. Amit, we have 8 more minutes for the session.
What time is it now?
It's already 10, but timer is showing we have 7 minutes 45 seconds.
It's already 10 o'clock?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's 10 o'clock. Dr. Sahu, can we continue?
No, okay. I can stop whenever he wants.
We have to ask the organizers.
Yeah.
Router poison.
Yeah, you can continue till 10:30.
10:30. Okay. So we have a lot of time.
Okay. Then I can show you the myotomy. Right? You see that there is a small vessel on the mucosa. See what I'm doing now. I'll just show you what to do. Provided water comes out of this knife. Can you see that?
Yeah, very nice. Yeah.
Now that vessel has come away from the mucosa.
Yes.
And catch it with the tip of the coag grasper, not the body of the coag grasper.
Okay.
Understood, Subhada? One. Okay. Okay, good. Keep, huh? Keep. Pull, pull, pull. Open. Here. Only tip.
Dr. Amit, your assistant seems to be very expert. Who is assisting you?
Shubhada.
Subhada. I think he's doing a very good job.
Open. That. Open. That. Just sufficient.
Yeah.
Don't want to damage the mucosa. Now I'm going to release this tissue a little bit. See again, and then start the myotomy. Out. जवळ पडा पायाच्या. Sufficient, huh?
Yeah.
You don't need to go deeper than this.
Yeah, Dr. Amit, these whitish are the muscle fibers or fibrosis? The fibers going from the muscle to mucous?
A little bit oblique fibers.
Oblique fibers.
But now we have gone on the right side of the tunnel. See?
Yes, yes.
I'm not going to cut in this direction. I'm going to cut over here, the myotomy.
Okay.
That way, very likely we will.
Dr. Amit, nowadays there is a lot of noise about the reflux after the poem. Do you really see the reflux as a problem in your clinical practice after the poem?
Actually speaking, because it is a little bit hyped.
Okay.
We don't see it so frequently. We do have, of course, some patients. But if they, even with a little bit of lifestyle modification and a little bit of PPI, we can take care of that.
Yes.
Very small percentage of patients who really require, who continue to have a very severe acid reflux and even abnormal acid exposure, we need to do something. So what we do is we select these patients, and only in some patients we perform a Gerdex.
Okay.
So I'm going to start now the myotomy, somewhere at this level, a few centimeters distal to the bazula sir.
So you are going 2 centimeter distal to the incision.
Yeah, a little bit away. Yeah.
Okay. And you doing the complete myotomy or the selective myotomy?
I always do complete.
Complete. Okay.
Because I don't think there is any need for doing a partial myotomy.
Yes.
The reason is, even if you do a partial myotomy, no, the longitudinal muscle fiber anyway separates.
Yes.
Okay, now here lift it up towards the tunnel.
Yes. Yeah, we can see the two type of muscle, circular and the longitudinal. We can see.
You can see very clearly the
Yes.
the inside one is the longitudinal and the outside one is the circular. Here it's not very evident because it's not so thickened, not so thickened.
Yes.
And outside you see the mediastinal fat.
Yes.
Here you can see very nicely the two layers. Longitudinal here down below, and this upper one is circular.
Yes, we can.
Outside the longitudinal, lifting, pull the knife back a little bit, push the scope in, and then with your big wheel up, as if you're doing an ERCP elevator.
Yes.
This makes the procedure extremely safe. And advantage is, even if you see any peri-esophageal plexus of veins or vessels, you can avoid them properly. You can see this?
Yes, we can see. So by lifting, you are moving away from the peri-esophageal vessels.
Yes. So they are left behind.
Yes, very important, sir. Very crucial point. Dr. Ami, sometime during the myotomy, the bleed occurs. So at that point, will you complete the myotomy and then control the bleed?
Can you see that vessel here?
Yes, we can see.
See that vessel below?
Yeah.
If you try to do sometimes without seeing it, you can cut that vessel. Now see where I've gone. I've gone by the side of the vessel.
Yeah.
Now you look inside where the vessel has gone. It's gone to the left.
Very good.
There's another vessel there. So I'm going between that over here. See?
Yes.
So actually visualizing the mediastinal structures. Making sure that you're not damaging any unwanted structure.
Yeah.
Now the muscle has started becoming thick. Initial start of the cut you can do with a coag, post coag, and then continue with a precise sect. See? Now very nicely seen, longitudinal and circular. Go below the longitudinal, initial start with a post coag, and then cut with a precise sect. Again, same. Now it has become very thick. Same, post coag. Slowly nearing the OG junction. The muscle is becoming thicker and thicker. Again, there's a vessel. So we are going by the side of the vessel.
Dr. Amit, there is a question from the audience. Chalapati want to ask, what is the order of applying the cautery pedals and the current to avoid charring of the muscle edge? Otherwise, the knife catches a lot of debris.
I didn't get the question actually.
What's the order of applying the cautery pedals? So you mentioned that I think initially some force coagulation, then cutting. So if you use more cutting, then you can avoid the charring.
No, it doesn't matter. I don't think you have to bother about the charring of the muscle. That is not a problem at all. So what if it is charred? As far as this coagulation occurs properly.
No, he want to ask regarding that there is collection of debris on side the knife. Sometimes the knife becomes the debris over the knife.
If that happens, you just come out, clean the knife and go in.
Okay.
But that is, now here also there is a little bit of blackness on that knife, but that's not coming in my way.
Yeah.
It's still cutting very well.
Yeah.
Now we already reached the stomach.
Yes.
And I'm going to the right.
Yeah. So you're going to the right to avoid the reflux after the poem.
To avoid the sling fibers. There's a vessel there. See, there's a vessel there. I'm not going to go over here.
Yeah. And we can think peritoneal fat also there.
Yeah. So peritoneal fat means what? This is the phreno-esophageal fat pad. This is the common thing which is there.
Okay.
Now this is just below the diaphragm. Phreno-esophageal fat pad is seen below the diaphragm. And this is the indicator when you are doing a poem with F. When you do an anterior poem, you see the phreno-esophageal fat pad, you have to niggle and start nibbling and cutting through this fat pad to enter in the visceral peritoneum.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the end of the tunnel. And I'm going to cut a few fibers. Now what I do normally, I'll tell you what. I see here whether there is any tissue which is pulling the two muscle edges together.
Okay.
See this, for example.
Yes.
So this also I'm going to cut. I'm going to release the muscle edges. The muscle edges have to separate out. That prevents recurrence. Many times, if you have made a very narrow tunnel, and if you have not cut this tissue properly, the muscle edges come together and they can even regenerate.
Okay.
So I usually do this release. See what I'm doing now. So this is a mediastinal release mechanism.
Yeah, it's a very good point.
Here there's a little bit of fibrosis. See?
Yes.
Here the muscle is a little bit attached to the mediastinum.
Yeah. So can we see diaphragm there?
Yeah, so far I have not seen it so well.
Okay, but sometime you can see.
Sometimes you can see. And how do you know? If you touch the diaphragm and you apply current, it will twitch.
Okay.
Open. Okay. Sound like this. Even the little bit muscle over here, I'm nibbling through.
Yes.
Open. Here the muscle is quite attached, down, but it doesn't matter. Now let us see whether the OG junction is wide open or no. Because that was our aim, huh? Oh yeah, look.
Yes.
Wide open OG junction, huh?
We can see.
So the poem is now completed. I will just close the mucosa. The closing of mucosa also, it has to be done in a specific way.
Okay. So do you use antibiotic inside the tunnel?
No, not required.
Okay.
So you see the apex of the cut first, huh? See the apex. So this is the apex. I'm going to go there. Fill the apex. Over here. Open the clip wide. And now beyond the apex on the normal mucosa, go down and apply. Apply.
Yeah. So are you using the down knob, down and the suction and apply?
Yes. So see what happened when you go beyond. This is the sentinel clip. If you put the sentinel clip properly, then the two edges come together.
Yeah.
And when you are putting closure of the mucosa, you have to also include the lamina propria.
Okay.
Open. Now go beyond this clip. Again, same way. Go here. Come, pull back a little bit. Down, like this.
Dr. Miss, sometimes margins are very thick and the wide apart. So
Yeah.
any trick for that?
Well, if you just can't get the two margins together, then you can just attach the margins to the muscle below.
Okay.
And leave it open. Even if you attach the margins to the muscle, there will be a granulation tissue which will be formed on the floor.
Any use of suturing device or Ovesco?
And keep the patient in, of course, not Ovesco. Then we'll use Overstitch.
Overstitch, yeah.
Yeah, suturing device.
So Dr. Amit, sometimes we apply the proximal clip first, and sometimes that will bring the margins closer.
Oh, but that is it will come in your way. Because when you put
I
the
know,
clip
but
first,
that sometimes it helps, yeah.
Sometimes it will come in your way.
Yeah.
But see what I've done now? By pushing it down, you're everting the edges, bringing it upwards. Okay, close.
I think that's a very important, applying the down pressure.
Yeah, and you do suction so that you reduce the air from the lumen.
Okay.
Open. Again down, down, down. See how the edges become everted?
Yes, we can see. Yeah.
Stuck, apply. Yeah. Come on. Open. Okay, this way. Any more required? No, doesn't look like. We'll put one.
So the last clip again is on the normal mucosa.
Again on normal mucosa. Open. Absolutely correct. Here, back a bit, down, 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 down.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, done, huh? Then we'll inspect the mucosa just to make sure there is no mucosal damage anywhere, no hematomas, any injury because of thermal energy, stuck the stomach completely. And this patient started on liquids 24 hours later. You don't have to do an X-ray. You don't have to do a CT. Antibiotics are given only for 2 days.
Yes.
Okay, now so
yeah, sometimes after poem we see that the mucosa becomes whitish in color at few points. You need to worry for that. Like this is some thermal injury which is happening to the mucosa. I see often 1 or 2 cases I had like that.
What is the question? Because
yeah, Dr. Amit, sometime during poem there can be blanching or whitish discoloration of mucosa. So are you worried about that, or it's yeah?
The whitish discoloration happens even because you have injected inside the tunnel for a long time and you have done submucosal dissection. You don't have to worry about the whitish discoloration. If whitish discoloration appears like a thermal injury, that whitish is very classical.
Yes.
That thermal whitish injury, if you want, you can do a prophylactic clipping.
Yeah.
You can just apply 2 clips on that area so that it doesn't open up later.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it can cause a delayed perforation.
Yes, Sandeep. I think it's a very innocuous. It doesn't cause much harm to the patient. Whitish discoloration, mostly. Yeah.
Normally, no, but if you are worried, no, you can put 1 or 2 clips on it, on that area.
Dr. Amit, this is the perfect case. There is no bleeding. You could close the incision very well. Can we discharge the patient same day and with the...
Theoretically speaking, yes, but we don't discharge for 1 day. At least for 1 night, you should keep.
Okay.
Until you start the patient on liquids, make sure that the patient is not developing fever. Sometimes, rarely, there could be some infection in the fluid which you have irrigated.
Okay.
If the patient develops some fever or anything, you can at least see what to do. I think to be on safer side, keep for 1 night at least.
Okay. And what
Dr. Amit, yes, Vikas, carry on, please.
Yeah, Dr. Amit,
pardon?
What are the anticipated complication after the poem? What do you tell the patient?
Anticipated complication is, of course, infective complication. Number 1, if the patient starts spiking fever. Second, during poem, if the patient's CO2 starts increasing and capnomediastinum, capnoperitoneum, BP starts rising. Of course, these are intraoperative problems of poem.
Yes.
But postoperative problems of poem is infection and bleeding are the 2 anticipated complications.
Okay.
If you have not done very carefully and if there is bleeding after the poem, there can be a tunnel hematoma.
Okay.
And the patient will have a lot of chest pain.
Okay.
What is the level of carbon dioxide when can you stop?
Level of carbon dioxide?
Yes.
When you stop it?
You should watch the PCO2 levels during the poem procedure. It should not go above 40. If your PCO2 level goes above 40, then you have to stop.
Yes.
That means this patient is developing
Hypercapnia.
Hypercapnia.
Dr. Amit, yes.
There could be a leak of CO2.
Yes.
But most important is to prevent it. Beforehand itself, adjust your CO2 flow on your scope. Adjust the number of bubbles coming out, the size of the bubbles coming out, and then start.
Thank you, Amit. It was an excellent demonstration. Everything was done on time. Big round of applause for
Thank you. Bye. Thanks
Thank you,
everyone.
Amit.
Thanks everyone for the opportunity, and best of luck for the rest of the course. Fantastic show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Manoj
Thank you.
and
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Amit.
Thank you, sir, for the wonderful demonstration. Thank you.
Wonderful. Yes.